Well, JPMorgan has finally said that a bunch of the people involved in the whale fail, this chief investment office loss of about $2 billion, are leaving the bank. It signals a couple things. Anthony, one of the things that you're writing about today is, how these people should be paid for their leaving, which is essentially, we've had this issue where they've essentially stomped on the spirit of Dodd-Frank with this whole deal.
So it would seem. Yeah, I mean, it's not clear yet that they definitely did something that was against the spirit of what Dodd-Frank would do.
Oh, come on! It's the spirit of Dodd-Frank is that you don't use the
it's not clear exactly what it was
capital
they did,
to gamble.
But nonetheless, they've lost $2 billion doing these funky trades. Now, we're not really sure exactly when they started going wrong. We think in the last couple of months when they tried to get out of them. But Ina Drew, who's been running the Chief Investment Office for the last few years, clearly she's leaving. She's retiring, which is quite...
This is the semantic problem I have with this. Retiring, what does that actually mean?
Well, actually, I don't actually have as big a problem with it philosophically. If she thinks she's done something wrong, which she clearly has, it's good of her to actually sort of fall on her sword and say, I'm going to retire. The problem is if that then means that she is entitled to all of her pay from the past couple of years.
Okay, let's go. So we wrap it. The problem here is whether they violated the spirit of the law. I think they did, but it's not a violation in law. It's a violation of spirit. But you don't want to compound it by now.
No, they've lost $2 billion
by paying her.
They need to answer
this is about what you get or don't get of your pay, right? The whole point. I mean, there's two aspects. One is that nowadays these highly paid bankers, the money is supposed to come in stages over several years to give them an incentive not to do something that hurts the bank in the short term.
Right.
And the question is if she has bonuses that are paid over 3 or 4 years. If she retires, does she get those or not?
So Ina Drew was paid $14.5 million last year.
Yep.
Right.
Of that, about $7 was restricted stock.
$7 was restricted. Another 1.5 of.
So going back to the letter of Dodd-Frank, which says that basically ill-gotten gains, gains that might have led to losses later, can be subject to a clawback. It seems to me she can't walk away with it.
Clawback's a different thing. That's taking money you've already got.
Yeah. Right.
But
doesn't deferred comp
not getting deferred comp because you leave is a slightly different thing.
It's a gray area, but I would have thought that it would be very difficult to justify allowing her to keep unvested restricted shares as a result of this. That seems like the first point that Jamie's Dimon
all
needs
of
to
it
make.
probably needs to go now. Again, go back to these trades. The trades that were put on over the last year or so didn't cause the problem. Allegedly, it was getting out of them. But that's kind of splitting hairs. The point is that they lost money because of this big bet that they took. And that bet was first placed on last year before, whenever. So at least some, if not all, of her compensation, but at least last year, probably needs to be clawed back. Right.
So there's about $4.5 million of cash that she received as well. I mean, I think this is where Jamie, to be credible, because he said over the weekend on Meet the Press, he basically said that we have been at the vanguard of complying with Dodd-Frank compensation practices.
He clearly wants to be credible. He's come forward in a big way, made a lot of noise about these errors being egregious and stuff like that. He has to follow through.
He's got to follow through that. And I think he's got to go even beyond what one normally expects. And he's got to really claw back a lot of that bonus money from last year, at the very least, to show people that he's serious and he understands the letter of the law. Okay, well, thanks a lot, guys. We'll be back with more Breaking Views tomorrow.